I was halfway paying attention, and so you had a big announcement to do, and I didn't, I heard, when you announced that, I was like, what did he just say? And then, I was shocked. I don't consider myself in the company of Rick Maloney or Butch Young or Kim Brock or Charlie Maxwell or any of our previous winners. I'm just, I'm here at OSU doing my job and trying to make a difference in young people's lives. So. Okay. Well, I can say I'm a product of this industry in Oklahoma born and bred. My father was a swine producer in Garvin County, and based on Bill Luce's history of the Oklahoma swine breeders, I went back in that and found my dad's name as a board member in the late 60s, early 70s. And so we raised pigs. And about 1980, we got out of the pig business and just focused on show pigs, and then graduated from Nennicaw High School in '85. And so I came to OSU, animal science, wanted to be a veterinarian, like most folks. But then Charlie got me a job with working in his lab with Japanese quail. Did that for about a semester and said, no, let's get back to pigs. And so then I was able to get a job at the swine barn under Kim Brock, and worked at the swine farm for 4 years. And through that, seeing the research and the things that Dr. Maxwell did, Kim did, really passion for research came out. And I remember it very distinctly. Dr. Maxwell, one Friday afternoon at the swine barn, showed up about 4:30. I was probably a junior in college, and was talking to him, and he pretty much bluntly said, young man, you're not going to vet school, you're going to graduate school. I said, okay.
It was funny to think back about the length of time that I've actually known Scott, and I realized that it's been 30 years. I believe it was 1987 was when I first met Scott. I was a senior, and I believe he was a sophomore. He was a year or two younger than me. But I was asked to be on an academic quadrathlon team. I didn't really want to do it, didn't feel comfortable doing it, and was working at the equine center for Oklahoma State. So I had to take some horses over to the lab practical. The short of it was, poor Scott was forced to be on a team with me because I was the fourth person that they didn't have. But it was a great experience, and that was, it was a real bonding experience with that group of people and how you had to work together to do those different things. And I enjoyed that very, very much. Was so thankful that Dr. Buchanan pushed me to do that. And that was where I got to know Scott.
Under Dr. Maxwell's advice, went to graduate school at the University of Kentucky. Got done there in '95, went to North Dakota State University, swine extension specialist for a couple of years, and then when Dr. Maxwell retired here, got the opportunity to come back to OSU in a teaching research position, and since '97, it's pretty much what I've been doing. When I left here, it was a show pig state. When I got back, it was a booming corporate industry developing. And so as I came back, looking back on my time and experiences, it's always been, and it still is today, where's the next leader's gonna come from? And some people refer to that as human capital. I don't like that term because they're individuals, and so coming back and being in front of those students, undergrads and grads, and realizing that we have a shortage there, looking back on that, we gotta, most of our students today haven't seen a pig, haven't touched a pig. We gotta get in front of them, let them hold the baby pig, and try to develop that interest in the swine industry as a career. And so that's been one of the big influences is looking back over my time and those folks that influenced me, and then trying to do the same for the younger generation today.
So Dr. Carter serves a number of roles and wears a number of hats. He's a primary swine research faculty member and a teacher in our department. He teaches our Principles of Nutrition class once a year, and he also teaches our swine science class. In addition to that, in the last year, we've asked him to take on the role of being the graduate coordinator for our department. So he would work with all of our incoming graduate students, helping them find the appropriate advisor, and just does a number of jobs relative to our graduate program.
Well, Dr. Carter does several things that, a lot of things I don't even see. It's a lot of behind the scenes things. And out there at the swine farm, he comes out and he works with the graduate students. He's actually out doing work with the students when he comes out, and he just doesn't stand around and order them around. He's actually out there doing work with them. And there's not very many professors that do that.
The board thought it was important to have that connection to animal science and to OSU. That there was, we've got this beautiful swine facility here on campus, one of a kind. There's not one like it, I don't think, anywhere else in the world. And how do we capture the value of that facility? Capture these students that are coming out of this program. And having Scott be involved with our board is a tremendous part of that. And you've heard several people say Scott's kind of quiet and he appears kind of shy, but the board has great respect for what his knowledge is and his understanding of students, his understanding of research and what's needed to do research, and how that research can benefit the commercial side of the industry. And so the board listens. It's kind of was the old TV commercial, when so-and-so speaks, people listen. Well, I think when Dr. Carter speaks up, folks listen to what he's got to say, and that's been tremendous. And then he's done a great job of bridging the connection, I think, between the university and commercial production. So many times our folks that are involved in commercial production, they get so tied up and so focused about how do I reduce this cost? How do I get more pigs per litter? How do I be more productive on the farm? But they don't make that connection back to how OSU could do research to help them accomplish that task. And through his involvement with the board, I think Dr. Carter's been able to build some relationships where he could talk to a board member and say, hey, would you come to my class? Or say, hey, I'm looking for a way to do better research on this in this area, and do you have some ideas?
The thing about Scott that I will say in the 30 years that I've known him, he's just always been a class act, and that's who Scott is, and he's such a great person, and it's been an honor for me to know him through those 30 years.
He's just an outstanding individual in our department that has that calm, easygoing nature, very laid back, but the students love him as a teacher. He's one of our highly rated teachers in the department, and of course the students who work with him on a graduate program love getting to do research with him as well.
When we first started talking about putting together a youth leadership camp, and we needed somebody from campus, we felt we had to have someone from campus to help do that, and was Dr. Carter that right fit? And that very first class, I remember it it's as clear as day. When we got into the Food and Ag Product Center, we were processing hogs, and he's got his hard hat on, and he's got his small group of students he's working with, and I thought he was going to crawl inside that carcass to show them something else that he thought was important for them to see, something that he thought they needed to know to take away from that. And no, he didn't take a knife and show them how to use the knife. He made them work through that process. But his engagement, his enthusiasm, when they go do live animal evaluation, he'll tell every group of kids, it's too bad you're not in my group because we're going to win the live animal evaluation. And more times than not, they actually do.
Their impression of the industry and then what they actually see is enlightening. It's when we walk into the big sow farm, I'm not looking at the pigs, I'm looking at the kids. See, their eyes bug out, and they're holy, it's amazing to them. And then we walk, we stop there in Guyman at the plant, and they put their hat, their hard hats on and their frocks on, and they're all kind of probably timid, scared of what they're going to see, and we walk out onto that kill floor, and it's like there's another moment that you just got to capture their faces. And so it's been my favorite activity. I think getting those students out into the real world, all the industry professionals they get to speak with and interact with is tremendous.
His involvement with students is something that you may not see from afar, but it's almost like a light goes on. There's Scott that you see outside the classroom, and there's Scott that you see in the classroom and when he's working one-on-one with students. And I think they're very different people sometimes, but his kids light up. I think when I go speak to their class, and he talks about it's swine time, and I about fell over the first time he did that, and I heard it, I thought, that's kind of silly. But his kids, it's not just it's swine time. I mean, it's enthusiastic. They want to be there, and it's one of the best groups I get to speak to every year.
I don't know how many students that I have that come through that's either been through his principles of nutrition, his swine nutrition class, or swine science class, any other class that he's working with, and I have to work with him. They just say that's the best class we've ever taken, just because of the way he handles that class. He makes it fun, he makes it educational, and they all learn coming out of them classes. They're absorbing what he is teaching in those classes.
He is the extreme professional. He's a quality person. He's a class act. I've never heard Scott say anything bad about anyone. He's always positive. He is a voice of reason. He's got a lot of wisdom that he provides to both the board and to me in the work that I do with Seaboard Foods and with the board of directors. And there can never be enough said about Scott, about what a good person he is and how fortunate we are to work with him.
It's really overwhelming, nothing that I expected. I don't know what the board was thinking, but appreciate it immensely. It means it means more than I can actually express that the board and the industry would think of me that way.